Pastor George Borghardt, and this is another Higher Things video short. Crucifixes. That's the subject of today's Higher Things video short. Do you want your cross with or without a corpus, a body? That's it. Do we like crucifixes? Are they Lutheran or anti-Protestant, or are they just Roman Catholic? That's a really great question. Well, Lutherans love crucifixes. Well, Christians should. Paul says, we preach Christ and him crucified, and he tells the Corinthians, I desire to know nothing amongst you other than Jesus Christ and him crucified. Jesus proclaimed that the Son of Man must suffer many things at the hands of the chief priests and teachers of the law, be crucified, die, be buried, and after 3 days rise again from the dead. So, when we think of our faith, it's not an empty cross. It's a crucified Savior that fills our thoughts and fills our minds. Now, the cross of Christ is bloody and gross. It's a picture that we'd like to get around or get rid of. The idea that we did this thing to God is exactly what we need in front of us, because God did this thing for us and died on a cross for us. There's all sorts of misunderstandings about crucifixes. The idea that Jesus isn't on the cross anymore. Well, then why aren't we just rolling around with empty tombs around our necks? And why is it okay for Jesus to be in the manger on Christmas, but not on the cross? The idea that Jesus somehow isn't on the cross anymore, and therefore an empty cross is a better symbol. An empty cross never saved anyone. You put Jesus on that cross and he saves the world from their sins. Or that there's somehow an idolatry in a crucifix. That sort of idea began in the Reformation. We could make anything an idol. We can make anything an idol. We made the bronze serpent an idol. We make ourselves idols. We make our money our idol. We make our works our idol. We make things our idol. We could turn any religious thing into an idol. And so the idea that a crucifix is more idolatrous than what we can do on our own is just absurd. Remember the bronze serpent. Moses, they complained to Moses in the wilderness, and God hears and judges their grumbling and sends fiery serpents into the camp. What's a fiery serpent? I don't know. It's like a snake. I don't know. But he sends fiery serpents into the camp, and they bite the children of Israel, and many die and are hurt. So they cry out to the Lord, and God tells Moses to put a bronze serpent on a stick, and that bronze serpent, if anyone looks to it, will save them. The Son of Man, when he is lifted up, like Moses in the wilderness lifted up the serpent, whoever looks on him, whoever believes on him should be saved. Will be saved, says Jesus in John. We don't have an issue with crucifixes as Christians. Just as we don't have an issue with statues and paintings of Jesus. These are not engraven images unless we make them engraven images by worshiping them. But they can be great things to focus our attention on what our faith is about. We believe that Jesus Christ, the crucified, has risen from the dead. That's Easter and Good Friday. And that's what the angels tell the Mary Magdalene and the women at the tomb. You seek Jesus who was crucified. So we're never going to get around the crucified Christ, nor should we. He should fill our meditation. And there's nothing more sad than relegating a crucifix to the Lenten season, as if that's the only time it's good, or turning Jesus around, the crucifix around and turning it into an empty cross, like somehow Jesus is in time out and needs to be facing the wall. We preach Christ and him crucified. If we have a question about what Luther thought of of crucifixes, that is the iconoclastic controversy. You can Google it. Luther had no problem with statues or with crucifixes or anything which focused the attention of the people on the suffering and death of Jesus. It's not Lutheran to get rid of crucifixes. It's Lutheran to have crucifixes. It's Christian to have. And we should be strong enough Christians to allow folks to meditate on their Savior on the cross by means of a statue of the greatest moment of all time, the death of Christ, the moment which saves us. And so even if you have an issue with a crucifix, don't judge others who have them. It doesn't make them less Christian than you. Just as their having a cross doesn't make them more Christian than those who don't. The cross of Christ is our salvation. It is our theology. It is a wonderful picture of our Savior bleeding and dying for us. I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this has been another Higher Things video short.